Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I wanted to come on here because we had a live last night, and yes, I realize our lives go very long. I can't help that. The community is great, and if you get involved in the community, there's a lot of conversation that goes on. So maybe you drop off after an hour or two. Maybe you can't make the lives, but the lives are still a very big part of what we do here. I know that a lot of you like the premieres. Yes, that's how I started, with the premieres in the true crime. Not how I started my YouTube channel, we know that. If you saw some of my reviews yesterday, and I have a dumpling one that's got to go on, but that's another aspect. So yes, when I started doing true crime, I did feature premiere video. Actually, did a feature video first without the premiere, started the premieres with the live chat. You guys took to that, you loved it. Then the problem was that it took a tremendous amount of time for research, then editing, shooting, then editing, and doing a live let me connect with you guys. And I'm not upset that I did the lives, because if I didn't do the lives as often as I did, I don't think the connection would be as strong. And I think that's what holds this community together, because I have gotten to know you guys. So I'm very thankful for that. But I understand that when we present something in a live, it can get lost in many hours of connecting. So I'm going to take this one theory because I think it's important. I have presented this theory before. It was not a new theory that I presented last night, but I don't think it was ever presented in a premiere video. So that's exactly why I'm going to do it now. No. Okay. There are many things that lead me to believe the children were not killed at the site in his second confession. There are many, many reasons. I'll go through some of them. There are also many reasons that I see this from his first confession and from his activities. Okay, so when this came about, let's understand something very, very clearly. Chris speaks to his parents every single night. He speaks to his sister. He speaks to other people that support him, whether it's that Kelly girl or Mark or Dave Cologne, whoever it is. He hears things from the outside. He was very well aware of social media and what is going on. He mentioned the term Nutgate. Nutgate is a term that was coined only by that Mel collab, right? Which has gone poof, poof. So yes, he's definitely hearing this stuff. Then he mentioned that it's such a shame they will not let the visitors bring in cell phones to show him videos. What videos did he want to see? Could it have been the ones that are on the internet? Could it have been where something is hiding somewhere, maybe in the shadows? He made another reference to Tammy about, haven't you seen the video? So he is very, very well aware of this shadow video and the perception that some have while looking at it, that may be a living child that was picked up, okay? Now we know the way the tape is, if that were the case, it would only be one, because that second set was a loop, okay? So people that were erroneously showing that and making it sound like that happened 2 times, it didn't. So we know then that it would have only been one, okay? All right, so right then and there, that discounts his confession that 2 girls were alive, because whoever told him about that video was apparently watching one of the channels that was looping it together and saying there were 2, okay? That's right then and there. Okay, we know that those videos have gotten completely one-upped, and they have, okay? So we went from seeing the shadow, to it being a child, to it being two children, to it being two children, and now we've got a gene theory, and we've got the shoe theory, and now we've got a ponytail coming out, and the newest one is we have also Jim Gutowski there. Okay, and on my comments it said there is a clear picture of Jim Gutowski right there, clear as day. That is it, and it's been proven. Now, I'd like to say to the person that wrote that comment, if you have a clear as day picture of Jim Gutowski at that house that morning involved in this, then why don't you have that clear picture? Why won't you run it up to the CBI and the FBI? Why wouldn't you call every news show there is and have them come over? Because that would be headline news if you found that out and you could prove that. Do you mean instead that it's a highly enhanced video that's been enlarged and then shrunk down and then enlarged and added light and added this, so that you almost have like a simulation of a person? Could that be at all what you mean? Because you know as well as I know, if you had a picture of Jim Gutowski there, clear as day, like you say, you would take it to the CBI yourself. You wouldn't even email it. You would bring it there. It would be huge news if you had that. It would be huge news, whoever found that. Okay, let's be real now. So we also saw it in the early days. Does anybody remember this? And this came around again. You know, what's ever old is new again. And I know this might not be popular with some of you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. Listen, this that I'm going to tell you was already debunked, okay? There was a picture of Chris Watts. When his head went into a light pattern, it made it look like his hair was Snow White. And when the footage was manipulated enough, it looked like you could say, hey, is that Ronnie Watts? Is that Ronnie Watts? And I remember when this first came out, way back in January, someone came in and said, oh my gosh, you know, you've got to go see this. Ronnie Watts was there, clear as day, he was there, and now it's gone. You know, then there was the conspiracy, and now it's gone. The video that was up there was gone because it had been debunked on another channel that showed the manipulation and what it did. So the person that made that original video got rid of it. Well, somebody must have either heard through the grapevine and thought, well, I could create a sensational video again and show that Ronnie Watts was there by doing the same thing. And maybe people weren't around then when that first one came out. And that's exactly what happened. Another channel went with the Ronnie and ran with it. And the exact same thing happened. I was in a live. Someone came in, oh my gosh, someone just put up a video. Ronnie Watts was there. Okay. There's a reason that these people are not running to the CBI or the FBI with this information, okay? Because it's not proven. It's not clear as day. It's not. So let's get that out there. People can see what they want to see. And if you tell a person long enough that this is what you should see, you could see that. It's like ink blots, or that dress that goes on Facebook. Is it blue? Is it silver? Is this, is this a monkey, or is this whatever? Okay? And you're going to get different opinions. So don't attack me because I don't see that. I do see a back and forth motion. I don't see a child. It could be a lot of things. And the point is, there's only one set, so it would only be one child. But then all of the other things I'll tell you about now speak to me. There was no living child in the truck. Now let's look at the truck the way it was found. It was found with totes on the back seat. Now, totes on the back seat, people say, what are totes? Totes are large bins. Bins are large boxes, small boxes, clear. Sometimes they're colored, sometimes they're solid, that you can put Christmas decorations in. You can put a multitude of storage items, clothing, which I'll get back to in a minute. These bins were on the back seat of the truck when they went to where it was impounded for the vehicle search. Now, I read this to you if you need to go see it. It's in the crime scene investigation that I read to you in a video that was posted yesterday. Go listen to that if you haven't. It will tell you what was found in the truck. The other thing is, how could those children have been riding on the back seat when there were totes and their mother was on the floor? There would not even be enough room. People say, oh, well, the kids were scared to death and they just sat there. The kids wouldn't have been. The kids were crying anytime the mother went out of eyeshot. Okay? Listen to Frank Jr.'s video that I have up there of his interview, and listen to Frank Sr.'s. They will both explain how those kids were literally beside themselves, even if Shanann went out on the deck. They're not going to watch him dragging their mother's body wrapped in a sheet around the house while they just get up, while they're expected to see their mother home, and be quiet and be fearful. And no, that's not going to work. They're going to be screaming. Okay? And beyond that, let's say he even concealed that they're going to want a drink. They're going to want snacks. Nothing was prepared for those children for their first day of school, even though Shanann asked him to pack those backpacks. They were not. Everything was still in the office, and it seems just the way it was left when they got home from their summer vacation and then went to North Carolina. Okay? So we know that. He wasn't planning on those kids going to school that next day. There's a reason he didn't pack those backpacks. I'll get into it. Children were found wearing their pajamas with no shoes. Children that wear shoes all the time of that age, and anyone that has toddlers know, they're not just going to just run out there without their shoes on. Most of them are very particular, and they were very particular about their shoes and wouldn't dream. Bella would know she's not going to go to school in her nightgown. She's not going to go anywhere without shoes on. She's never been taken into a store without shoes on. You know, it's just so absurd. So she would put shoes on at the very least, even to go out there and go out to her father, okay? Let's say you don't even believe that. Then, you know, what then happened to Cece? Was Cece, so are you saying that Bella saw, you know, Cece and her mother now lifeless in the house, and she is just going to walk out to her father and then sit in the truck alone while he's going back in and out of the house for, what, a half an hour? And she's going to sit in the truck alone, and he's not going to worry that she's going to climb out of the truck, that she's going to be seen on the driveway, that she's going to beep the horn, she's going to yell, or anything that would cause any type of awareness to this. That she's not going to bend down if her mother's and start pulling the sheet away from her mother to talk to her mother. Come on. Really? Really? Okay. So then, while we see what we see, that the one child, okay, let's take your, he's going to then drive 40, 45 minutes, and I can show you the route too. There are other cars on that route. There are other businesses on that route. There are police on that route who would see a young child in the back, could stop them without a car seat. Especially if that child was up and down or the car was driving erratically, he wouldn't take that chance. Okay. Let's go back to then when he gets to the site, according to his confession. You could tell he was making that up as he was going along. The story kept changing and changing. Did they have first he said he didn't even know if they had the blankets. But by the time he got to how it happened, there would be no way he would be confused about that point, because that would be very significant. Well, of course they had the blanket. At least they had that one blanket. He wasn't even sure. He said things like they went out and got in the truck, as if they got in there on their own volition and sat there. He didn't mention anything about car seats, seatbelts. Tammy brought that all up, okay? So yeah, that was definitely very telling. They mentioned they had their feet on their mother. No one mentioned the totes at the time, where they were sitting between the totes. He never mentions once moving those totes out of the way. The whole situation of how he got in the back seat was totally left out. That he did it there in the back seat, but this guy tells every detail of what happened. When he starts leaving out all these tiny details, it's because it didn't happen, okay? He would have said, I had to take the tote out, I had to put it down, I had to get in, I had to turn around, he would have gone through every little detail if he was telling the truth. They had to keep giving him things, and you might think, well, why were they leading him like I was too at the point? They may have purposely been leading him to say, look at this guy, he's such a BS artist, okay? He's such a BS artist, we're giving this to him and he's just taking it like that. That shows, he doesn't know what he's doing. So, yeah, you took Shanann out? Did you dig the hole before or after? Did the girls see you? Okay, so he's not even sure what happened there, except that he put her out. When he goes through this scenario of how he murdered the children at this site, it's very convoluted, okay? And we see his verbiage that he uses, the word horrible that he used in the first confession, horrible, I feel horrible, somebody horrible, is that then that he tells Bella, Tammy, was I a horrible person and said the exact same thing is going to happen to you? Well, that exact same thing also happened in the first confession, but it was when he was talking to Shanann, about doing the exact same thing to her that she did to Cece. That sounds, he did the exact same thing to her that he did to Cece. Did he just substitute Bella in there for that? I'm going to do the exact same thing to you that I did to Cece, right? Okay. Again, this guy talks about rage. He doesn't even know what rage is, okay? I can load the dishwasher with more rage than him when I'm doing some anxiety cleaning, okay? He doesn't know what rage is. He doesn't. He heard it somewhere. Remember he said he's been watching some cop shows? He also has his father talking about crimes of passion. He speaks about a rage because that's how people in his life have tried to explain this away. That and that he was abused and he was beaten down and he was this and he was that. Okay? Even when he said to Tammy, there is no amount of rage or anger you could feel at a person that would make you do this to them. Okay? So, yes. Then we have that letter that many of you have asked me about and I've covered in so much detail, okay? That letter, according to the PR people, okay, the people that went on a video for PR for Chris Watts, which was a PR team you would never want to have, let's just put it that way, brought up this letter, that this letter is going to show something good about Chris. This letter was written by Chris. You can clearly see the handwriting is Chris. The date is put on by someone else. This letter supposedly was written on August 6th when Chris was at his parents' house with his sister present, and this is the PR team, said that Chris didn't want to write that letter. He felt it was silly. He felt it was crazy. He didn't want to write it, but they wouldn't stop. They wouldn't stop. What the letter in a sense says, that if anything happens to me, look to my wife. I would never hurt my children. Okay? What was trying to be said with that letter was that if something happened to Chris, well, nothing happened to Chris. It wasn't very well planned. It wasn't very well planned if something happened to Chris. It was something that Chris did something. So at that time, the letter was not brought out for a while. When they did, the letter, supposedly now, that was the person that was there when the letter was written, says that she has something in a sealed envelope and she doesn't even know what it is. Weren't you there when they wrote the letter? That's what the PR team said. The PR team was pretty bad because they then when, if you go, if you do, try to arrange something, say with a friend, and you're trying to either pull a joke or whatever, and your friend says something wrong that kind of blows it, and then you kick the friend a little bit. Well, when this one of them says something, the other one, instead of giving her a little kick because it sounds horrible for what they're trying to do, doesn't, goes in on it too. So the one says, yeah, well, when she gave it to the defense team, they said, no, get this out of here. This shows total premeditation. This is not helping Chris at all. We don't want this at all. Okay, prosecution would have loved it, but they said, no, we don't want it at all. Now, when the one says that, the other one then chimes in, yeah, so why would you guys even bring that up in a podcast? It wasn't helping anything. In fact, it made everything look worse, not only for Chris, but for those 3 people that you said, you're trying to protect. It's making them look awfully conniving and scheming, right? So why bring that up? Do you think about what you're going to talk about, have a little bit of an agenda or something, do any type of editing? No, you don't, because you're live. So yeah, I don't know. That's not a good move. Not a good move. You definitely wouldn't be one of those eraser people that try to, restore someone's image. I would never apply for a job like that, guys. Okay? Now, so yeah, that letter was much to do about nothing. Now, you can believe or not believe that it was on the 6th. A lot of people say, you know what? I think that letter happened when the father picked him up from the airport, because it's the belief that Ronnie knew when he picked him up from the airport what was going on, and that they had them write that letter, and then that was going to be that crime of passion defense, right? That is something that, he knew this was going to happen. She was going to flip out, and she hurt her kids, and that's what he did. So, okay, whatever, that letter, again, much to do about nothing. Defense team didn't even want it. Prosecution would have probably ran with it, but they didn't even need to do that. So let's go off the letter. It really doesn't warrant much here now. And I'm sorry, my kids are just going crazy, but I have to get this out here. Now, let's just go back to the scene when he takes Shanann out of the car, and then he describes the way he did this. He did this one at a time, carried them across the field in broad daylight, up a skinny staircase all the way to the top of an oil hatch where he'd have to open the top with a crescent wrench. And then where would he put the child when he's up there? He has to put the child down. I don't think he's able to hold the child and open the hatch, which could be rusty, could be, with the oil gunked up. It could be hard to open, whatever. He doesn't mention any of this. He doesn't think to his mind that it's not even realistic to walk from where Shanann's grave was dug all the way over to the tanks. And I'll show you, I'll try to put it in here again, the sheer length of this walk. It's far too far to be doing that, okay? Not once, but twice. Okay. even if it was just the one child, he's still carrying. He doesn't mention, not one time does this click in his head that, wait, maybe I should say that I drove the truck closer to the oil tanks. No, he didn't say that. Not in any of the 3 or 4 or 5 retellings of what happened. And that's why they make him tell it so many times, okay, during that interview. Never once did he say, I moved the truck, or, you know, whatever. Now let's go back to, again, the first confession. The first confession, Coder says, I think those girls were gone before Shanann got home. No, of course he's going to say no. Now, the reason he's going to, after they got him to confess to Shanann, and then Ronnie helped him out with what he had readily available. You have to ask yourself that too, how he had that. If, she said, and you can go look at the confessions, I put wording into them. If you cheat on me, I will get you back tenfold. As if that is a terrible thing to say. There are so many people that said, if you ever cheat on me, like we were saying last night, I'll kill you, I'll leave you, I'll this, I'll that. What? No, if you cheat on me, that's good. I'll give you a free pass. I'll give you maybe 2 free passes, maybe 3. I'll give you 3 free passes on that. Is that what happens at the Watts house? I don't know. But they apparently think that what she said was over the top, and then Ronnie goes and reiterates, well, she always said, if you cheat on her, she'll get you back tenfold. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, you know? Okay, so, but not the slander of this woman that was a victim of this and didn't kill her children, but that's not ridiculous. Anyway, Chris is going to go with this because Danny's telling him maybe he'll get a lawyer and he'll get off, and maybe he's still in his fantasy, can have a life with Nichole Kessinger, who he's told, please don't bring her into this. She's had such a hard life. She doesn't need this. She doesn't need this. He's protecting her. Forget his wife and his kids. He's done with them. He can't stand them. Okay? He's done with them. Okay? When he thinks about later on in that confession, when he says, oh my gosh, I've let my parents down, I let my dad down, I let my mom down, I let my sister down, I let my nephews, he says, I let my nieces down. Nieces? I thought there was only one niece. Anyway. I let my friends down. Never once did he leave his children down. Did he let them down, right? No. He doesn't mention any remorse for what he did to them, what he did to his wife's life. No. It's only about the people that he thinks think highly of him and what they're going to think and how he let them down by taking the mask off and not being the person that they thought he was. Okay? He also mentions in the second confession about being such a good liar that he convinced his teacher that he went on a vacation, summer vacation to China, which was totally false and erroneous, but he had enough time to gather all of the information and write it down to make it look like he was really there. Okay, so now when he's making things up on the cuff, he's not so good, and he forgets things, okay? He forgets things, but you'll notice the language is very much the same, and you can hear different people that the language comes from, but I've gone through this on a lot of my analysis videos of this man. Okay, so Coder has more than once said, I don't think those children were alive when you left the house. The second confession in February, he said, why? Is there a reason why you want me to think these children were alive? Well, let's think about it. Why would he want Coder or anyone else to think the children were alive? Would it take the heat, the eye off of someone else that could have been an accomplice in ending the children's lives that Sunday? Or being there, doing anything? Would that help in any way to say he was alone with them in the car and to use a video that's circulating to propagate that? Yes, it would. He also mentions in that second confession about Nichole Kessinger that at least she's on the outside. At least she's on the outside. Why would he say that about an innocent person? He doesn't say that about his dad. He doesn't say that about his friend Mark Jameson. He doesn't say, well, at least Mark Jameson's on the outside, at least Dave Cologne's on the outside, at least Nick and Amanda Thayer are on the outside. He doesn't say that about anybody. The only person that he says that about is Nichole. At least she's on the outside. So it makes it sound like he fell on some sword for her, and they haven't found her out, and now I'm going to do this, and this is going to make it even more that she could never be there or involved in this at all. Okay. Now, people will say, oh, the investigation stopped. But no, we know from the text that we have uncovered that she was interviewed in September, at least that we know of. It could be continuing to today. We know that they wanted her to come in and meet with the lead investigator, that they wanted it to be recorded. We don't know that the same didn't happen for Jim. We don't know the same. They wanted Charlotte to come in. Why haven't those recordings been released if she was cleared? The ones in August were, but there's a reason that September has not been released. There's a reason her text messages have not been released. There's a reason this woman was calling and texting. Do you have the text messages? Did you get them up? She tried to do the Jodi Arias, and the reason she's asking, the reason she's so concerned is because she wants to help them, okay? But anybody with 3/4 of a brain can see through that, probably half a brain as well. So we have that. Now, she also does not conduct herself like an innocent person or a person that wants to help. She waited 2 days before she went to the police. And when she did, she went with her father. And when she did, that story that she told there was fraught with lies. The next interview she gave had more contradictions and lies. The next one, you just went and it lied. And what do they say about lies? They're hard to remember. You tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. She's obviously not telling the truth because the story is changing consistently. We also have Google search records that contradict what things she says. And so, yes, a lot of contradictions in there. Save your marriage, but I'm sending you nude photos. Save your marriage, but I don't want you sleeping with her. Save your marriage, but come on. Okay. Pawn the ring on the 13th, but she doesn't know anything about what happened. How did she know she wasn't going to come back? Why would she do? Okay. We've gone through all of that before. So let's look at the, just what's brought up. So yes, so at least she's on the outside. Huge sign. Huge sign. When he is in that first confession, he says to the father, after, call that, make sure, and I'm going to it's call that other person. Make sure you call the other person. Call what other person? Wasn't she Googling Ronnie Watts after they went missing? What person does Ronnie Watts have to call the other person? Could it be Nichole? Is there some kind of message that his father and he worked out before they got to the station? Well, now his father doesn't look surprised. He's definitely not surprised about the affair. He's not surprised about the separation. He knew that. I don't think he's surprised about what happened to his grandchildren, what happened to Shanann. Okay? When he walks in the room, Chris points out the tape recorder. Chris does the entire interview like this. These fingers are moving, the eyes are moving. We're not getting the benefit of seeing the eyes or anything. There's lots of muttering under the breath, stuff like that. And you could just see, okay? There was lots of stuff like that was going on between the two of them. Back to the father. He's got the picture of the doll. He's got the picture of the doll right up there, okay? This sounds like something that the letter, the picture of the doll, the I'll get you back tenfold, was all down on a sheet, okay? Well, this is going to be it, and this is what we have, and this is what supports Chris being, he didn't do this. he snapped. Okay, that's what supports Chris's stuff. Ronnie just had that stuff, bam, right there. Then he brings out the picture of the doll, and he's talking to them. Oh, it's like a 4 for 3 foot doll, and it had a sheet on it, and you know, it wasn't like a kid would do it, because a kid would put it like up to the middle if it was Bella. She said Bella did it. You know, come on now, no child does that. It was like over the head, like you know, like she thought it was. What, you think it was funny? Okay, what is this? It's like a premonition. This is like I don't know. You know, and he's going with that. Meanwhile, Chris never bothers to tell the father that he's the one that sent it to Shanann. And so he tells a half-truth where he says, remember when Shanann got that picture and then she posted, she said, I'm not sure what to think about this. She turned it into a kind of a joke, because to think of what the heck your husband would send you something like that for is just too scary. And so he goes, oh, I think she thought it was funny. Not, I took the picture, I sent her the picture, and then she didn't know what to make of it. He totally lies, and, you know, just had that right there readily available. Now, Ronnie also goes ahead, because the tenfold thing, and in his own separate interviews after the fact, tells the investigators there that she always said she'd get back to him tenfold, meaning that they took that to mean that she would kill her children. When everyone else would have said Shanann would have been fine on her own, okay? She would have gotten over it, she would have been fine on her own, and she would have thrown his butt out, kicked him to the curb. Okay, so, yeah, not that she would have killed her children, and that's just the way some people think. Now, Coder and Tammy thought, okay, well, he folded so fast and we got him to confess so fast, he will now come forward because he's not going to want to keep. They misjudged his hatred for Shanann. They misjudged his total lack of feeling for his kids, and they misjudged his feelings of lust for the mistress, because he was going to hold on to hope that maybe he would get off as a crime of passion. Maybe she would wait there and they would have that life they've been envisioning full of firsts, like he wrote to her in that card. So he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to take that next step and say that, you know, Shanann did not kill those kids. He was going to maintain that. And he did maintain that until, you know, he found out the evidence does not support this, okay? But he wasn't going to take the chance that that whole life that he was trying to build with Nikki was not going to happen, at least not at that point. Now he, and that's why, you know, you have to call that person back. Okay, let's go back to the second interview, where the CBI is asking about the basement door alarm. They're asking about a tremendous amount of steps that he took that morning. They're asking about, what do we say to people that think that Nikki was there? He doesn't say unequivocally he's not there. He says, oh, well, I had to talk her down. Okay, talk her down. See, it's in what he doesn't say. Because if she wasn't there, why not say, oh my gosh, no, of course she wasn't there. Why? I can't believe anybody would, look, this happened. No, he says things in a very different way. So the next thing that you have is Coder keeps saying, you know, I think those girls were gone before Shanann got home. You have Tammy saying that, do you really want to do this to Shanann? Do you really want to put this on her? Meaning that, look, we gave you this to run with because we needed you to confess to something. We're not stupid. She even said, do you understand? I don't believe this. This is hard to believe. They told him in 10,000 words, you're lying. But again, the life of Nikki, he wasn't ready to give that up yet. In the prison, I still don't think he's totally ready to give that up yet, that there's still a hope. Maybe he is communicating with someone he thinks is her. Maybe he is communicating with her under an alias. Whatever it is, he was giving little halves, okay? I had to talk her down. She wanted to be with me all the time. And we see clearly in that they were together all of July. Shanann comes back. She doesn't like it. She issues the ultimatum. I'm not going to wait around. Everything she told the investigators was a lie. She was looking for wedding dresses. She was on sites about, does your mistress become, more than that? All of that. She was looking for something more. So he was picking up red touch-up paints and windshield wiper blades on the 8th before he went to the ultrasound. She must have flipped her lid when he went to the ultrasound. Then, I don't know if he told her it was a boy, because remember, she thought, well, that would be the one first she had left. The one first she had left was to give him the son, okay? So now he knew, with the gender reveal coming up, that was going to be all over Facebook before Shanann canceled it, that, well, she was going to see that. But she wasn't even going to wait that long, because she was not going to tolerate him living in that house with her. Okay, so immediately after that ultrasound, that was late on the 8th, the 9th was the day Shanann was getting ready. By the 10th, early morning, she's gone. So there weren't many days. Now, that ultimatum came down then, is what I'm thinking. That's it. This is it. Those are the last time. If you don't take care of this, if you don't fix this, then we're done. Now, how much she had in the plan, I think, is more than she's letting on. Okay, which is why I think she needs to be questioned about certain things. She may have been, but why aren't they releasing? Why aren't they releasing that stuff that happened in September? They released the stuff in August. Why are they holding that back? Why are they holding her text messages back? You have to ask yourself that. They did get the text messages. In the discovery, it shows you what they got off her phone. Even if they had burner phones, there's a good amount of text messages that are missing from the phone she had. Okay? All right. So now you have this ultimatum coming down. So Friday, he has the kids, he's getting the fire stick and all of that. Friday night, we hear, she could have been sneaking in through the back of the house, whatever she was doing, sleeping in the basement. Were the sheets downstairs ever tested for DNA? I don't know. We've never seen the results of anything that was lifted from the car. We've never seen the results of that stuff. So, what do we know? There was so much stuff that was missed in that house because they let him go in there. He cleaned up and he washed bedding. He did all kinds of things. So the scene was very compromised beyond that. But it doesn't even look like they tested certain things that we even have the results of. We have doors going off. Why are they going off? Why is he bringing attention to them, to the police that came to the house? Why, why? What's suspicious? You don't bring attention to things that you think you can easily have a reason for that's not, something suspicious. You try to explain away things that are suspicious, okay? You'll be forthcoming because it's in your mind like, oh my gosh, the basement door, okay. So, why didn't that happen? Then, okay, they go out on this date. He uses that credit card. He tries to use that credit card as the catalyst when he's talking to Coder, but he messes up. He messes up big time. When he's talking about what went down on that Sunday, and he says she got home at 1:48, and when he talks about how he wasn't in control, well, he wasn't in control. Someone else was in control. But he talks about a point of no return. And he talks about that happened on Sunday. He doesn't say it happened on Saturday with the credit card, not until he slips up. He says to Coder, I was out of control. I don't know. It got to, there was, no, I think it was the straw, because that's the straw that broke the camel's back. The straw. It was the last straw. What was the last straw? What happened on Sunday was Saturday. But no, he means Sunday. He means Sunday. When they killed the children before Shanann got home. That was the point of no return. There was no coming back from that. There was coming back from the credit card. Of course there was. Okay? If he got down on his knees and he promised her he's going to go to third, there was coming back. There was the possibility he could come back from that. That wasn't a point of no return that you need to kill your wife over. That wasn't the point of no return. Please don't think it was. She already knew about it, okay? If she wanted to work on things so bad, he could have gotten past that if he wanted to. That wasn't a point of no return. The point of no return is killing the kids. How was he going to come back from that? She was going to, what? Just say it's okay? No. That was the point of no return. That's the very reason, with some other things, that I believe they were killed before she got home. The other thing is, when talking with the detectives, the investigators, he says, you know, the straw was not going to that Broncos game with Jeremy. If I'd only gone to that Broncos game with Jeremy, it might have turned a switch, flipped a switch in my head, flipped a switch in her head, and this whole thing, what flipped in her head? No, okay, now, see, he brings her into it. Flipped a switch in her head? Why did it have to flip a switch in her head? What was going on in her head that the switch had to be flipped? Was she masterminding a plan for you, Chris? Was she pushing you to do something, Chris? Was she giving you an ultimatum that you had to do something? Was she your partner in this plan? What did the switch need to be flipped in her head? Why wouldn't it just be in your head? So he says that. So we know now that that dinner probably was a farce for testing out times, talking about things without the kids around, where they could clearly, get a game plan together, finalizing everything and whatnot. And because he didn't go on that, everything got set into motion. Now, she could have said, use the credit card. We don't know. But again, that credit card, if that was the only thing, that was not insurmountable. Okay? It wasn't. Okay, so we have that. What is the thing you can't get over is killing the kids. So, she's very insecure. She is a very, very insecure person. She is texting Charlotte on the 12th saying, don't tell nobody about this because I haven't made my mind up. I think she's saying, don't tell nobody about this. I have to make sure he's going through with this plan. If he doesn't go through with this plan, I don't know. Okay? So, or if he's going to get caught doing something, I don't want anybody knowing that I'm with him. Okay? So, we've got this. We've got an 111-minute phone call that neither one knows what they were talking about. That sounds like a perfect alibi, doesn't it? And we see how easy it is to do. Even someone like Jim could be at her house with her phone, connecting it and leaving it connected until they got back, right? Yes. The other thing is, right, if someone was doing that, then what else could that person have been helping out with, okay? So they had burner phones, remember? In all likelihood, based on things that were said, they both knew about burner phones. They had burner phones, so they didn't need to take those two phones, and that was a perfect alibi. We know that there was some type of a scrambling thing on. You can see in the messages that are retrieved how certain messages come through and every letter is separated as if there was like this scrambler on. She mentioned scrambling. We know the cop could not reach Chris on the night of the 13th because probably something was being done with his phone, okay? Because he kept disconnecting, and then he called the officer back on his work phone saying that something was wrong with his phone. Huge red flag. Okay, then What was missed here? Every single CCTV piece of footage should have been looked at from that night of the 13th. Did we get CCTV footage from the lazy dog? Was anything looked at in the parking lot that they actually drove in her red 4Runner to that dinner? Did we see that at all? Not that I saw. Did we get footage of them eating inside that restaurant? Okay. What were they talking about? Was there no footage? Okay. Was there no footage? We have footage of him at the Conoco coming back, okay, getting changed for the babysitter. Now, that night of the 13th, why didn't they go to Target and get the CCTV of him in Target that Sunday? Why didn't we get that? They went to the Home Depot. How was the Target missed? Maybe he was shopping with someone. Shouldn't they have gotten that Target footage? Okay, that was missed. Shouldn't someone have said, look, Coder thought the kids were killed before she got home. So what would go against disposing of the bodies before she got home? And if they disposed of the bodies, what's along that Survey route? Yes, there are businesses. Yes, there are places. Yes, there are dash cams. Like I said to you the other night, there's a whole podcast. Someone must know something, or someone knows something. Someone must have seen something. They go in cold cases. And every one I've listened to, they run across people that one question say, no one ever came to us, but yeah, I noticed this, I noticed that, and I noticed that. Something relevant. The case was wrapped up far too quickly. CCTV footage now is looped over. Yes, there may be a drone that's around. Yes, there may be an eyewitness account of something that's around. Yes, who knows? But they dropped the ball on this. Every avenue should have been explored. So, okay. Where was her car? Have we even seen a registration for her car that she has a red 4Runner? Why did she ask to be picked up to go to the police station? That first, not the one in the park, okay, in the park again, the one where she went into the police station with her father. You hear the officer say, we picked you up at your request and brought you here. I'm sure her father had a working car. I'm sure she had a working vehicle. Why did they want to be picked up and brought in? Maybe not to have any looky-loos in their cars? Okay. Do we know that she owned a red 4Runner? Did anyone go to the Toyota dealership that Chris supposedly went to on August 8th? Is there any CCTV footage of Chris picking up the red touch-up paint and the wiper blades? Chris is what? Driving around in Shanann's Lexus? What is he telling Shanann? Why was he never questioned? What is he telling Shanann on August 8th that he's running around picking up touch-up paint at a Toyota dealership and driving it to her house, her apartment in North Glen, and staying there until it was almost time for the ultrasound, which was in the evening at 7 o'clock, and rushing back and almost not making it because she was probably throwing a hissy fit? Where's all that? Where's the people at the dealership? What was Shanann thinking? Where was Shanann thinking he was? Was anybody interviewed at her apartment? Are there cameras there? Do we know what kind of vehicle she had? What did the neighbors notice, or were the neighbors never questioned? A lot of loose ends, a lot of loose ends, a lot of stones that weren't looked under, tremendous amount. and 4 people's lives gone. And maybe others are accountable, okay? And maybe there should be justice, okay? At the very least, answer the people's questions that are wondering. And if you are innocent, you would want to do that to clear your name. Or would you want to live the rest of your life under the suspicion if you are innocent and have nothing to hide? Okay, so let's look at it this way. She's a very insecure, a very jealous person. He's had to talk her down off a ledge. She can't handle it. She hasn't had good luck with men, not at all, okay? Sean had some BS that we don't know what kind of BS. Was Sean interviewed? Sean needed to be interviewed, okay? What was she like? Why did you break up with her? What's the BS that you had, that she said? But we don't hear anything. We don't hear anything about it. We don't hear anything about Sean's BS. We don't hear anything. And it's just more infuriating. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. What's going on with Sean? Why does she have such bad luck with men? Why did she lie and say she didn't know he was married when she initiated this, knowing he was married? Okay, but we've got it down. She's a liar. And those are facts, people. People are going to say, oh my gosh, she's a liar. The facts say, this is like Maury. The lie detector in my fake kitchen says, you are a liar because you lied. And we can come and show you one lie after another. So that would make you a liar. And that would make it the truth. Okay? So we know she's a liar. We know she's insecure by what we have seen in text messages, by what Chris has said about her, by her very own actions. So and we know she is jealous. So we have a lying, deceptive, yes, liar, we have a lying, deceptive, jealous, insecure person, and we've got his beautiful wife coming back and his beautiful little girls and the house that they built. She has to be thinking, oh my gosh, what if Shanann comes back? What if she's got this baby? Who knows? She might already know the baby's the boy. That might have really just taken her and just right over. That was going to be her first. How dare this happen? How dare it happen? How dare you take that last verse from her? No, no. This is like that, the Grinch, right? Something has to stop this. Something has to stop this. But what if she comes back and they pull it together? Well, even if she thinks it will never work and that he will eventually get separated or divorced a year down the line, she wasn't going to take it. She wasn't going to wait, even though she said she was in no rush. She was already looking for wedding dresses. No one had a right to go and take this away from her. She lived with him the entire month of July. He was hers. No. This just has to get this out of the way. And you're definitely not going to take her first. Okay? You might have conceived the boy, but you didn't give birth to the boy yet. He wasn't here. That could still be her first, even though she didn't want kids. But it couldn't be if they reconciled. It couldn't be if the baby was born and they separated and divorced 2 years down the line. No, that first is gone then. Have to do something. So, how would somebody be sure that when Shanann got home, there wasn't any type of a reconciliation? After all, there was a book, okay? She probably also saw text messages saying that Shanann wanted to work on this marriage, go to counseling, right? What was going to happen? What was going to happen? How could she make sure? So how to make sure that there was a point of no return? How to make sure of that? Well, the way to make sure of that is to murder the girls before Shanann got home. Because Shanann would never, Shanann would never, never get past that. She would never. And she knew that Chris, wanting this relationship with her, Nikki, would never let Shanann even have the ability to get past that. In fact, I think they did something even crueler. And this is another thing that I mentioned last night. Okay? As a mother of 5, I've had situations where, like I said, I've thought, whether I've lost my child for 2 minutes and living on a lake, thought the worst, where my son went careening down the driveway on a Little Tikes tractor, hit a tree, and flew off onto the road. And I said to my husband, I couldn't even go down there, and I just said, is he alive? 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 I couldn't handle it. If he would have said to me he wasn't alive, I know I would have collapsed right then and there, and I still had 2 living children. Coming home, someone doing something so absolutely cruel. Now, whether they put those life-size dolls in the bed, because there were 2 upstairs, whether they put pillows there, whatever they did, or were they as unbelievably cruel as when she walked in that house and got upstairs and started to get undressed, that they came out and they were vicious, and they said, your kids are gone. Go look at their beds, they're gone. What happened? They're gone, they're dead, they're never coming back. We put them in oil wells. They're gone, and you're going to be gone too. We're going to do the exact same thing to you. It would be incredulous to her that not only is there another person in the house, but that they're saying they're going to do the exact same thing to her, that her children are in the house. She would be in a sheer panic. She would be in shock. She couldn't believe this. She would probably be going out of it. This can't be true. This can't be, you gotta be kidding me. And maybe at that point, she turned angrily or I'm gonna call, and he grabs her in the sleeper hold after telling her this. Because remember, that horrible person, was he a horrible person that said the exact same thing is gonna happen to you? Did he project what he said to Bella? It was really on Shanann. The exact same thing, okay? So, I'm gonna do the exact same thing that I did to Cece. And why would he pick Cece? Because Cece looked so much like her. The exact same thing. Was I a horrible person and said that? Do you remember the text with Nikki, are we bad people? Are they bad people for wanting what they want? Are they bad people for trying to move things out of the way? She asked the question, you can decipher where it came from, but was he a horrible person, is what he says in that last interview. Was he a horrible person? Now, that is very much reason why Shanann didn't fight back. I tell you, I can attest, as others could in the chat, that if you think your child is gone, dead, you can't find them. We had a woman, I believe, lost her child, another one who's saw her mother lose a child. You just go down in so many, you just go down. And think about if you lost all of your children. And I know, yes, she was pregnant, but right then and there she's thinking, what? You've got to be kidding me. You are this much of a monster that the affair was the last thing from her mind. She could have gotten over that dang affair, okay? She could have moved on with her life and her kids. That wasn't the straw. He didn't have to kill her. It was that the kids were gone, okay? Now, the flight was delayed. Nikki was very upset the flight was delayed, right? It's escalating things. There was even a mention, did Shanann lie about the flight being delayed? And again, Nikki, who's the one that came, and Nichole, Kessinger was very upset about that. Well, who's this Nikki chick and why'd she come and just ruin our whole thing? Because she's calling the freaking police, or we would have gotten away with this, and maybe he would have lit something on fire down there with the gas can, or what, or we would have had time to get rid of her car and everything. But this Nikki chick has got to come there and start this crap. Well, now this Nikki chick, was this Nikki chick just keeping her out, and there was no delay on the flight, and they're just sitting there, yakking over stuff? Well, that's what Chris believed, and then Baumhover says, no, her flight was delayed. Oh, okay. So, we have the 111-minute alibi call. Did they, now, the totes in the house, when we looked at the pictures in Alive, and I'll see if I can put it in here, we saw clothing that was clearly taken out of something right there on the garage floor. Clothing that looked like it had been folded, laundered, and either put away for another baby, before she knew what it was, put away for, donation, put away to give to a friend, whatever. She gave things to friends. There was another tote in there that had the top off of it and only had a few shoes in the bottom. Would these storage totes have fit the girls so that they could have been carried out of the back of the house and put into someone's truck? The Lexus? Maybe. But could they have been put in someone else's truck? Maybe a gray work truck that's out in front of her mother's house? Maybe the red 4Runner, if that is truly existing. Very easily, no cameras, and he knew that. There are no cameras out the back. Could he have brought these totes over to the fence, then come up the other way and just hoisted? If you look in the back, there was nothing behind them. There was a parking area for those new homes going in, right? There was nobody there yet. No cameras, no chance of being seen. Very easily could have carried some totes out under the cover of darkness and put them in front of that fence, come around with the car parked in that parking area, walked up, grabbed the totes, put them in the truck, and go off to Survey 319. It'd be a heck of a lot more inconspicuous to go to Survey 319 in the cover of darkness with two people. Yes. Okay? But even in the cover of darkness, even if it was one person, he could go up there with the wrench without having to open the hatches and then bring the girls up. He never mentions doing that. Is that because there were two people? Is that why they were put into different tanks? Because why wait over one to put them both in the same one? If you have two people, do them both at the same time. You get done sooner, right? Okay. The DNA. Did we look at any DNA results from those hatches, from the crescent wrench? Now, another big mistake happened. When that truck was in the impound lot of that tire and auto place, whatever the lot, the Lexus was in an indoor warehouse. His truck wasn't. Whether it didn't fit, but guess what? There was a tremendous rainstorm. So I doubt any fingerprints were lifted from the two shovels that were in the truck. You know, the wrench. What? Okay, so we don't know about that. But it certainly would have made things a lot easier for them on their press timeline, especially because she's delayed, to have not had to deal with those oil tanks in the morning in the bright daylight. And yeah, Surveys might be in the middle of nowhere, but it's a cattle ranch. And there is no telling that the farmers wouldn't be around. The guy that the water came out, he was there when Troy McCoy got there the next day. Who's to say he wouldn't have been out there that first day? It's a lot easier to take a wrapped body, which was Shanann, put it on the side, dig a hole, put it in, than it is to, forget even killing them at the site. Grabbing the girls one at a time, walking up that galley stair, up to the top so you're way seen in the bright light. What would he have said if one of his coworkers pulled in early? How would you explain that away? Literally, Shanann could have been kept in that truck until that hole was dug, right? They write it over and done. You're not going to explain. He didn't have blankets and stuff on those girls when he carried them over there. If they had been in bags, the bags were discarded. But what is he going to do? How would he explain that? Would he take the chance to get caught with something like that? No, I don't believe he would have. Okay? And that, is my theory there. Now let me just see what I have here. Do we know what time that Nichole arrived for work? We have that phone ping. That's another thing. We have a phone ping at 6:15 in Frederick from her phone, calling Jim, leaving a voicemail for Jim. Leave Jim out of this. Leave him out of it. Leave him out of it. Leave him out of it. Leave Jim alone. She called Leave Jim Alone that very morning at 6:15 to leave him a voicemail. Where was Jim? Home? At her place? Remember, he came in later that day. Do we know that Jim wasn't there? Did Jim have something he needed to do? Was Jim supposed to be getting rid of something later in the day? Was Jim arranging something? What time did Miss Kessinger get to work that morning? Was that even looked at? Was she even asked about the phone ping in Frederick at 6:15? Remember, we had a basement door alert too. Could she have been just tidying up a little bit? Was she in a rush? Was she in a rush because she was late for work and this tidying up took longer than she thought? Why did Chris run in the bedroom when he was told to look for pictures, and instead looking for pictures looked in that corner where the gloves were found? Was he checking that she cleaned up something or didn't clean up something? Why did he run to that corner? Why did he run around the house before he let the people in? Was he taking one last scan that she cleaned everything up? Why did that phone ping from Frederick at 6:15? These are questions people want answers to. Okay, so we have that. Again, the point of no return, the flip switch, right? No shoes on those children. The plan was set in motion. Why would he do it in daylight? What happened to all the dash cams along that route? Anyone that could have seen him. He didn't drive on that road alone. Go take a Google Earth there. There are trucks, there are cars on that route to Survey 319. He did not drive on it alone. What about all the houses that might have had cameras along the residential route that might have seen his truck driving by that morning? Dash cams, Again, her car, the Toyota dealership, the gray truck at her mother's house. Was the neighbor shown that truck? It's right there on Google Earth. Is this the truck that you saw? Does this look like the truck that you saw? That was there that morning when you went to the gym? What was that? Who was driving that vehicle? Was it left there? Was someone coming to pick that vehicle up and take it somewhere else? We don't know. Okay. DNA results, evidence, the fingerprints and stuff in the shovel, what happened with the rain on everything, why didn't they protect the integrity of what was in the back of this truck? So many things, but that's just a lot of it. And I know I've been through a lot, and I will tell you right now, you will hear my kids on this, because I am not going to sit here and edit and tell them to be quiet. I'm just going to get this out. It's the best thing I can do for you. There's still going to be editing I'm going to have to do as I'm going through things, so I don't hear waiting around. But please don't tell me about this or that or the other thing I should have cut out. I'm just going to go with it. I hope that this has given you something to think about. Let me know in the comments. If you don't agree with me, that is fine. That's fine. You don't have to be nasty. And just, you know, you can state your reasons and whatever. There are still much more digging that I want to do in order to look some more at things that I'm seeing. But I wanted to get this theory out there. People wanted the letter. So there you go. All right. Have a good one, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.